Washington. The White House has developed a plan to force out Secretary of State Rex W. Tillerson, whose relationship with President Trump has been strained, and replace him with Mike Pompeo, the CIA director, perhaps within the next several weeks, senior administration officials said on Thursday. Mr. Pompeo would be replaced at the CIA by Senator Tom Cotton, a Republican from Arkansas who has been a key ally of the president on national security matters, according to the White House plan. Mr. Cotton has signaled that he would accept the job if offered, said the officials, who insisted on anonymity to discuss sensitive deliberations before decisions are announced. It was not immediately clear whether Mr. Trump has given final approval to the plan, but he has been said to have soured on Mr. Tillerson and in general is ready to make a change at the State Department. Mr. Tillerson was at the White House on Thursday morning, although he was not listed on the White House public schedule. Asked by reporters on Thursday if he wanted Mr. Tillerson to stay on the job, Mr. Trump said only, "He's here. Rex is here." Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the White House press secretary, later issued a statement. "There are no personnel announcements at this time," she said. Secretary Tillerson continues to lead the State Department and the entire cabinet is focused on completing this incredibly successful first year of President Trump's administration. John F. Kelly, the White House Chief of Staff, developed the transition plan and has discussed it with other officials. Under his plan, the shake-up of the national security team would happen around the end of the year or shortly afterward. But for all of his public combativeness, Mr. Trump is notoriously reluctant to fire people, and it was not known if Mr. Tillerson had agreed to step down by then. Public disclosure of Mr. Kelly's transition plan may be meant as a signal to the secretary that it is time to go. At the same time, there was some concern in the White House about the appearance of a rush to the exits given that other senior officials may also leave in the early part of the new year. White House officials were debating whether it would be better to spread out any departures or just get them over with all at once. The ouster of Mr. Tillerson would end a turbulent reign at the State Department for the former ExxonMobil chief executive, who has been largely marginalized over the last year. Mr. Trump and Mr. Tillerson have been at odds over a host of major issues, including the Iran nuclear deal, the confrontation with North Korea, and a clash between Arab allies. The secretary was reported to have privately called Mr. Trump a moron, and the president publicly criticized Mr. Tillerson for wasting his time with a diplomatic outreach to North Korea. Mr. Tillerson's departure has been widely anticipated for months, but associates have said he was intent on finishing out the year to retain whatever dignity he could. Even so, an end-of-year exit would make his time in office the shortest of any Secretary of State whose tenure was not ended by a change in presidents in nearly 120 years. While some administration officials initially expected him to be replaced by Nikki R.